So without further ado, I am going to start the recording. I know that we do have, I'll just let you know that we have kind of the entire gambit on the call from 9th grade through 12th grade. We have a few seniors that are on the call that I know have already applied to Kennesaw State University. And then, like I said, we have some juniors, some seniors, and some freshmen and sophomores as well. So just to kind of give you an idea of who you're talking to.
All right, sounds good to me. Totally fine. Welcome, everybody. What's going on, everybody? My name's Kiani. Kiani Gray. I'm an admissions recruiter here at Kennesaw State University. Really appreciate y'all taking the time, whether this be required or not, to listen in to this session, to learn about, post-secondary opportunities, whether you're in 9th grade or you're about to fly the coop as a senior. It's important, I feel like college is amazing. It's a great opportunity, but if that's not your path, there's no doubt that you'll be successful if you're really focused on it. So I'm just here to help you find whatever path is best for you. But obviously I work here, so I'm going to be talking about KSU mainly. And then if we need to have other conversations, we can. If you guys want to check the chat, I actually put a form in there for y'all. If you don't receive emails, if you're not on our contact list, you don't receive anything from Kennesaw State, you don't have to do it now. You can take the link and put it in your notes or put it somewhere on your desktop and just fill that out at some point. So that way you'll be on our list. It really helps me out when I'm going to your school specifically, because if I'm in the area, in not COVID times, hopefully, and I'm actually in the school, you'll know. And when we have events in your area, you'll know, and we'll be able to get everything out to you. So if you can fill that out, that would be great. I'd deeply appreciate it. And I think that was the last thing I had to say. Yep, for right now. And then we'll get into the rest, we'll get into the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for y'all. Wrong screen. Here we go. All right, that's what we wanted. All right, can y'all see my screen just fine? Should be the hootie hoo. Can I get a thumbs up if y'all can see it? Great. Okay, good deal. Yep. Phenomenal. All right, so hootie hoo. It's funny every time I say it, but it's a battle cry. It's a greeting. If you're going to be a Kennesaw State Owl, you got to get used to it at some point, because that you're going to be saying a lot of it, especially if you're going to sporting events. Every time we score or do something crazy, it's always hootie hoo. So it's a good time. So we're going to go ahead and jump to this next slide. Okay, usually this is the point where I would play this video, but currently we kind of know the present situation. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. So it's still tough right now. I really hope that you and your families are staying safe. Obviously, if there's anything that you can do to mitigate the spread of the virus of any kind, stay home. I live with my elderly grandmother and my mom and my family, so we're trying to do our best to stay safe during this time. Even we're social distancing and rotating things here in our office to make sure that we're staying safe, to protect people. On a list of schools where they're having major trouble with COVID-19, we're very, very low on that list. We still have campus tours going. Obviously, we have a mix of classes, online, in person. Let me see if I can turn off this notification. That's getting annoying for right now. So we're doing our best here at KSU, and that's really the main idea. You guys are the priority. If you're about to be a senior, if you were enrolled as a student, you're the main priority. If y'all give me 1 second, I will get rid of this. Turn these notifications off. Microsoft Teams. So sorry about that. I know I'm eating up precious recording time. Devices, notifications. Turn these off. Awesome. Okay, so back to what I was saying. We're doing our best, and that's all I can really say. If you have major questions, you can always go to coronavirus.kennesaw.edu. And that's going to be, we have a task force dedicated to answering your questions regarding the virus. So we still got students on campus, still got students living on campus and doing our best. So just let us know if you have any questions, okay? All right, so quick facts about the institution, things that you know, things that you might not know. We're currently sitting at 41,000 students. That's a pretty big number. When I was a freshman back in 2014, when dinosaurs were walking the earth, I'm getting old, we had around 25,000 students. So we've grown a lot since then. You know, we merged with Southern Poly. For those that don't know what Southern Poly was, it's now our Marietta campus where all of our STEM majors at. That's where my office is. I'm the liaison for STEM programs. We boosted to about 30,000. And then since then, you know, it's been, you know, incremental increase since then. So I was a tour guide on campus. So I helped, you know, flip some decisions and get people to come to KSU. And now when I graduated, I now work as a recruiter doing the same thing, but actually going on the road and talking about the institution. So that number is special to me. But the thing about that number is that you're not going to be a number. And that's what I was looking for when I was trying to decide where I wanted to go to school. I visited a couple of small schools and I was cool with the, you know, the facilities and everything. But the thing about it was I didn't want everybody to know my name. I didn't want to know every single person that walked around campus. That wasn't my deal. And I didn't want to go to just a sea of people where I was going to be massively uncomfortable. I felt like I couldn't make good connections and good friends. So when I visited KSU, I saw the number, felt like it was kind of big, but then I stepped on campus for a visit and it was a big school with a small school feel. And even though we are bigger than where we were when I was a freshman, it's still that small school feel on both campuses. So we do have a lot of commuters. We have a lot of online learners, a lot of adult learners that are coming to and from campus. So but the core of people that are on campus in the dorms or staying in apartments around campus, you'll see most of those people when you're coming on campus, and you won't get lost. And that's always a good thing. Like I mentioned, we got the 2 metro campuses. So we got the Kennesaw campus. We'll talk about majors. That's more of the liberal arts campus. And then the Marietta campus is more STEM focused. And we'll talk about that. With that big student number, we have 300 clubs and organizations. There's something for you. Have fun. Go to a campus organization. If you're at a school, don't just go to your dorm and go to sleep, go to class and go back and forth and just eat, you know, hang out with people, get to know some people. I met some of my friends for life. In the last, 2 years, I was in 4 weddings and so broke. There goes all my money renting and buying suits. But it was so much fun. And those are people that I met through my campus clubs and organizations. So it runs the gamut from Greek life. So if you're interested in being a part of a fraternity or sorority, you got it. It's a lot of fun. Greek life is very active at KSU. And then if you're just interested in, say, intramural sports, that's going to be one of them too. And then everything in between. So I'm me as a person. I'm very much interested in fashion. I'm very much interested in art. I'm interested in music. So I would visit with those various clubs. I'm Afro-Latino. I'm both African-American and also Panamanian. So I would visit with the Hispanic clubs, and I would also visit with the international clubs because it's nice to know people from different different walks of life, get a different perspective from where they are, depending on what country they're from. So, and I also played football. I played football at KSU. So for me, I loved my teammates. I spent about 90% of my time with them while I was in school. But at a point, I got tired of looking at their faces. I don't care if that's on the recording; they know it. But we had a ton of fun together. But you always want to get to know some more people, kind of get out of your comfort zone, and not just be, If I was in music, I'd need to hang out with some athletes at some point. If I being an athlete, I needed to hang out with people that were in the arts because that's something that's an interest of mine. So you never know what you're gonna get into. So take that opportunity. Still with that big number of students, we still keep class size pretty small, so 21 to 1. And that's incredibly reasonable. You guys will learn college is group work city. You'll have your big lecture style classes, which might have 115 people in it. That's normal. Like you see on TV, obviously not right now because of social distancing, but I've had a couple of those classes and those classes are usually the easiest. You got to think, if you got 100 people in a class, professor has 4 lectures, that's 400 people. They don't want to grade 400 papers all the time. So it's going to be one of your easier classes. Not saying college is easy, but you got to think it's going to be pretty simple. But going back to that smaller class size, most of your classes are going to be in that 21-to-1 range. Some classes might have 30, some classes might have 25. Usually it's 21-to-1. Me personally, in a lot of my classes, it was more of the 21-to-1. My senior year, it was around 30 students, and we broke up in groups of 5 with a couple of 5, and then a couple of people sprinkled in different groups depending on availability, their class schedule, and we just worked in groups for most of the semester. And so I saw my class everybody in my class the first day. I met with my group the next class, met with my group to discuss things the next class, and then we met individually as a group for the rest of the semester, and we didn't see the rest of the class for about a month before we had our next meeting. So so if you have a little bit of social anxiety, it helps because you're in a smaller group. It's easier to have a conversation with your professor, to talk to your fellow classmates. So that's always good. Little tidbit of information: don't be that person in the group that's logging on to the Google Doc at 11:56 when we're about to turn stuff in. Talking about, I didn't even know. I didn't get the group me messages. I'm just like, yeah, you did. I saw you. I'm leaving your name off the paper. I don't care. I was that person. You're not playing with my grade. So you will encounter some people that are not playing with their grade. So don't be that person. I trust that you're all exceptional scholars and won't be that person. Because if it's me in the group, I ain't playing. All right, so we got 150-degree programs that ranges from undergraduate to doctoral. Most of that is going to be in the undergraduate category. You can stay in all the way through your doctorate in certain majors, and we're actually coming up with a cool double hour program if students are interested in earning a double degree, or really it's really a undergrad into a master's in a condensed time usually, but if it stretches out a little longer, we make the path a little bit easier for you. So if there's, like, say, criminal justice is a really popular one that you want to do back to back, you can knock it out pretty fast. So be on the lookout for that. But we have a host of degree programs. Ranked number 14 in the country by the U.S. News and World Report on a list of students, on a list of colleges where students are most eager to enroll. Best way I can say that is if you're admitted into UGA, Georgia State, and Kennesaw State, you're most eager, like excited to enroll at KSU. So number 1 in the state for that, and then number 14 in the country. Food is really good at KSU, and that's a promise. That's not you'll probably go on, see more campus tours, and you might go on campus tours and do more of these sessions. And you're probably going to ask at some point, oh, so how's the food on campus? And the rep is going to be, oh man, the food's great, or we have this many dining halls and blah, 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 blah. And they don't talk about the actual food. Be concerned. Please be concerned, because what you're going to be eating for the next however many years, if you're staying on campus or going to the dining hall a lot, is pretty important. I was 195 pounds when I walked on campus. I was 240 when I graduated, for a good reason. I spent a lot of time in the dining hall. I had to put on weight for football, but they made it really easy for me. I spent a lot of time in the fresh greens, sandwiches, and salads area. I spent a lot of time in the home cooking section because, if I needed some form of grilled meat or healthy option, they had it. And then they have, a bunch of pizza, fresh, which is made fresh every day, fresh garlic knots that are made fresh every day, as much dessert as you want, coffee, smoothies, hamburgers, French fries, chicken tenders, regular college student stuff. They have an international student station where they're making dishes from different countries given to us by our international students, so that way they're authentic. So you see how I can talk about the food and kind of speak to it. We have a lot of it's fresh, a lot of it's organic. If you have a dietary issue, you can talk to them, whether you might be lactose intolerant, you might have a peanut allergy, you may have a gluten allergy. Whatever the case is, they're very accommodating. So be wise to what you're going to be eating when you go to school, because it fuels, your everyday life. So that's food. And then we study abroad in 96 countries. Keep this short. I went to Amsterdam. Really enjoyed my time. That's in the Netherlands. It's the land of giants. I'm 6'4". The average male height there is 6'2". So I felt pretty small. I met a lot of people that are around 6'7", 6'8" out there, both men and women. So it was a pretty cool opportunity for me to feel normal for once. And beautiful place. I did a community engagement internship. I got to know a lot of cool people. I also went out to London and spent some time there. Great time. So diversify yourself. If you have the opportunity to study abroad, take advantage of the opportunity, because you never know what you're going to see when you go over to another country. Obviously, international travel is very, very low right now. Hopefully it gets better by the time y'all are in school. So that way you can take advantage of that opportunity, because it's so much, it really is so much fun. And the price is really reasonable. You're looking at roughly what you're going to be spending for a normal semester in the States. Oh, lastly, 18 Division I sports. Football was last to be added. Go to an athletic event. If you're a student, 9 times out of 10, you already paid for it with your student fees. So they're going to give you food. They're going to give you a ticket to a game. Take advantage of that because you already paid for it. But we like to win at KSU. We're constant conference champions, whether it be golf, volleyball, tennis, football, men's and women's track and field. We like to compete across the board. So you want to be at a school that has a winning culture, and KSU is continuing to build that. All right, so everybody here is from Georgia. I don't got to spend a lot of time here because this is the out-of-state slide. But just remember, once you choose a school like KSU, you're super close to we reference Home Depot HQ in downtown Atlanta, because that's where the Fortune 500 companies are, and that's where the job opportunities are. So we want you to be able to have access to those. We have great career service teams that help land you in those spots. Obviously, you have to do the work and, edit your resume, add things to it, interview, but they're going to equip you with the tools to make that pretty easy for you in that regard. About all of our, Atlanta sports teams that consistently let us down, and it's okay. So hopefully we'll get somewhere next year. But it's still a cool place to hang out. I love going to the Battery. Great place. Been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, absolutely beautiful. Actually got to work there one time when at my old job at Chick-fil-A. I got to meet Champ Bailey, Tim Tebow, saw Nick Saban, different things like that. I was working the SEC championship a couple years ago. And then we referenced The Walking Dead. We have a couple of classes with the Georgia Film Academy. So if you're interested in that, it's easy to be an extra, but it's also easy to get to know people in the industry. And we have a lot of great talent here that'll help you get connected in that way. So let's talk about majors a little bit. So on the Kennesaw campus, there are programs specific to KSU. So I know everything here says college. That's where everything is housed. All the majors are housed. So you have the university as the umbrella, and then you have the colleges underneath it where everything is housed. So we got the College of Education. If you're interested in being an educator from early childhood all the way up to 12th grade, high school, that's going to be your home. We're a top producer of teachers in the state of Georgia. Teachers need to get paid more. I can't say it enough. Hopefully I live long enough. Hopefully it better get better. Because teachers are amazing. Wouldn't have y'all without them. All right. Coles College of Business. If y'all are interested in going into entrepreneurship, finance, economics, that's going to be your home. One of the best places and highly rated undergraduate business schools, and very well respected amongst employers. The newly named Norman J. Rado College of Humanities and Social Sciences is that building right there with the globe. I got my degree from there. I majored in public relations. One of the only gated school of communications and media in the state of Georgia, which I really appreciated, add a lot of value to my degree. There's a Starbucks inside that building, but that's also the building of ology. So sociology, psychology, anthropology, and then criminal justice is housed inside that building as well. So that's the humanities. Norman J. Rado and his wife gave so much money to the humanities and social sciences for scholarships and for updating some things within the college. So we really appreciate them. Then we got science and math. That's in that middle building right there that you can see, houses a $22 million research facility. If you're interested in research, KSU is a R2 research institution. That just means the money that cycles through the institution for research. A lot of projects get approved. A lot of student projects get approved. You can partner with professors. If you're interested in research, this is a good place. We also have a $9 million facility down here at Marietta campus. So you got options if you want to do research. College of the Arts, both campuses, but just one major down at Marietta. Talk about that in a second. At the Kennesaw campus, that's the whole complex. Excuse me. So that's anything from sculpting to musical performance, vocal or instrument performance, theater, take advantage of that. If you are one of those students that want to go into that field, take a tour with the arts, talk to them, you know, get a little bit of a hands-on experience. If you're not going into the arts and you're still planning to come to KSU, go to a show. I really loved the symphony orchestra when I was a student. I also loved traditional theater shows when I would go during my time as a student. So take advantage of that. The tickets are pretty reasonable. And then the Wellstar College of Health and Human Services, nursing is the primary major within the Wellstar College. But then you're also looking at exercise science, sports management, social work. That's that home. And I know I got some nursing questions and we'll field those a little later. So Marietta campus, like I said, there's major specific things, and there's ones with some crossover. Science and math crosses over, College of the Arts, apparels and textiles. If you're looking to go into like fashion sourcing in that industry, that's going to be at the Marietta campus. And then technical communication for humanities is down here in Marietta, and that's a little bit of computer science mixed with UX design. Now, the ones that are specific, architecture and construction management, one of the only 5-year accredited architecture programs where you don't have to have a master's after you're done to go work in the field. Very well respected. Computer and software engineering, biggest field I'd like to say right now, considering what's been brought on by the pandemic. You know, things will only continue to move in the way of progress when it comes to computing. So very lucrative careers coming out of computing and software engineering. And then you have the Southern Polytechnic College of Engineering and Engineering Technology. Phenomenal, very hands-on and very applicable to what we're doing these days when it comes to engineering. We leave the Southern Poly moniker on there to show love for the institution that this was before we consolidated back in 2015. So just wanted to show love for Old Southern Poly. All right, so to talk about admissions, we like to make things pretty simple. For my 9th graders and 10th graders and potentially my 11th graders, things are a little wonky right now considering the pandemic. So I'll be mainly speaking to the seniors in regards to admissions into the admissions requirements, but please know that things haven't changed too much in the last 3 or 4 years. So very rarely do we have a major jump in requirement changes. So just keep an eye on our website in future times, so that way you know what's going on. But for my seniors mainly, you go to admissions.kennesaw.edu. You will it will take you to Georgia Futures. You should be comfortable with Georgia Futures. Log in, go to college applications. You'll be able to find the KSU application in there. After you get it done, if you are eligible for an application fee waiver, I'll put the link in the chat. Once I get done with the presentation, it's a link to submit a fee waiver to us from your high school. You can scan it into a PDF, take a good picture of it with your phone, and send it to us, and then we'll send you a code back in the form of an email, so that way you can apply for free. Now, if you are not eligible, it's going to be a $40 application fee. All right, application is done. Now you send your transcripts. Talk to your high school counselor. If they need to send it, have them send it to us. They can send it to me if they're having trouble with any of their systems. Just have them send it to me directly. That's totally fine. If not, they can use Parchment, Naviance, Squire, any platform that they're using specifically to send transcripts and get it to us. If you are dual enrolled, if you're dual enrolled, please send in your college transcript as well. That's a part of your admissions profile. We don't need it to make a decision. If you're under 30 credit hours, which would make you a transfer student. So if you're under that mark, then we will consider you a regular traditional freshman. But we will need your transcript on the back, your college transcript on the back end. Test scores. A lot of questions, a lot of ambiguity around testing these days. We are test optional in a way this year. So in response to COVID, USG shifted our requirements to a 2.6 academic GPA. How do we calculate GPAs? If you look on the USG website, look at staying on course, we use your maths, your foreign languages, your sciences, your social sciences. That's like history, governments, all that good deal. And your Englishes, okay? So we use those subject areas. We strip away any weight. If you're an AP and you have a 5.0, we strip away the weight, we strip away electives. We look to see, is it an A, B, C, D, or is it an F? Award the points, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we do our calculation from there to determine your average. If it's a 2.6, you're golden. Don't have to send in test scores, you'll be admitted just based on that GPA. If you have a 2.5 GPA, you will have to submit test scores. The 2.5 and those test scores down there are our normal admissions requirements if there was no COVID-19. Those are our traditional test scores that we would usually use. And if you're underneath a 2.4, underneath the 2.5, that's a conversation that we got to have, either about test scores, different things like that. Where's your academic progress going, and or what can I do to help you transfer into the institution? So I'm not about, if you can't get it on off first rip, I'm done talking to you. No, if KSU is where you want to be, I want to help you, ride the course out and get here. So just let me know. All right. So deadlines. We passed our priority deadline on November 2nd. That just meant if you had everything in on November 2, you will be, you would have a decision in December. Y'all are still in a good spot if you're a senior. Our final deadline is June 1st. I call that the life happens deadline. But if you're applying now, great, because housing is open, orientation is open, and scholarships are open. Scholarships close on March 1st. Housing will fill up like it always does. And orientation won't fill up, but class availability is different depending on which orientation that you attend. And we'll talk about that a little later. But June, like I said, June 1, life happens deadline. You might have had plans to go to another school and COVID took it over and you need to come back home to KSU and you had an old application here, you'll be fine. If, life happens, changes come. If you need to get an application in before June 1st, do it because it's a pretty good time and you still have some time to get your documents in after. But do not call me on June 2nd. Please don't call me on June 2nd. I tell that to everybody. I'll tell you, you are not in time for the fall semester, but you are right on time for spring 2022 because we have to respect the students that applied prior to the deadline, and we want to make sure and work through their applications. And we got plenty of time. June is super far away, so be timely. Like I said, for my dual enrollment students, please send us your college transcripts. If you're going to graduate with your associates, anybody, you'll be considered a transfer student, but please send all your transcripts. So that way we can give you the credit. You worked for it. We want to give you your credit where it's due. But I don't think anybody in here is a traditional transfer coming from another institution. So mainly we're focused on high school students. Anybody interested in dual enrollment, obviously with the online environment, if you feel comfortable getting college level coursework done online primarily, because I know you guys are on the south side. I live east of the city. I went to high school in Rockdale County. This would, trying to dual enroll was possible for me, but if I wanted to dual enroll, say at KSU, this would have been a great option for me when I was in school. Because I was great with computers, great online. So this would have benefited me. So if this benefits you, there's no testing requirements. So if you're looking to dual enroll in this upcoming year, I would take advantage of it. You just need that 3.0 high school GPA and the corresponding courses need to be done all the way in your English and algebra courses. And if you have questions about that, let me know. Honors, I usually ask who's interested in honors. I feel like everybody should at some point. I thought about it myself, but I didn't do it. But it's very, it's a great opportunity in the way of, one, you get put in a lot of cool situations. The events that they run for honor students, you get to have great conversations with deans of academic colleges. They bring in a lot of people from Fortune 500 companies. One of our tour guides had a dinner with people from Fortune 500 companies and deans of academic colleges because of her performance in the honors college and how involved she is. So that's a reward in and of itself. There's honors rigor, so there is the work is a little bit more challenging, but it definitely pays off in the end. There's honors specific housing, honors specific study abroad trips that they have specifically. And then if you're looking to have a perfect schedule, you get to make your class schedule before anybody else on campus, before seniors, before athletes, before anybody. So if you have an internship, if you have a job or two jobs, honors is going to give you that ability to make your schedule exactly how you want it in those timeframes that you need. So that way you can, honor your other commitments, but also get your work done. Honors is a ton of fun. They're building a giant structure in the middle of campus. If you guys look online, it's literally for the honors college. It's going to be classrooms. It's going to be lecture halls. It's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen. and it's specifically for the honor students. So, and they built it over my favorite parking lot. So I'm pretty butthurt about it, but it's okay. I'm happy they're getting that for y'all. All right, so this is the point where I'll play this financial aid video, but for the sake of time, I want to get to you guys' questions. The moral of the story within this video is fill out your FAFSA. FAFSA can be confusing. It was confusing for me when I was going to school. Me and my sister and my brother, you could call us first generation college students because my parents didn't go to school. So for us, we were figuring it out, and it took some time to strike the right balance on certain things. And when filling out documents, if you're accepted into KSU, you have a financial aid counselor that will do as much as they can for you and provide as much information on documents, how to fill out the FAFSA, all that cool stuff. For my seniors, fill out your FAFSA early so that way you can get a nice financial aid package sooner rather than later, so you can compare with different schools if you're trying to decide. But if you're have a great package here at KSU, we'd love for you to attend. And just be timely with it. It'd be great if your parents have been in the same job for a long time, and just go ahead and fill it out, because their new tax information is going to almost be the same unless they had a very significant increase in salary. So just keep that in mind, and they're here to help you. They helped me out a lot while I was in school. All right, so money that you don't got to pay back, which is always the best. Hope Scholarship. If you're Hope Scholar, you got to have that 3.0 GPA. That will set you up pretty nicely, covers up to 90% of your tuition. You have to maintain a 3.0 while you're in school. You have to have a 3.0 coming out of high school to get it. But if you don't have it, you can get it after 30 credit hours. And then you have, you're checked at 30, 60, and 90 credit hours and every spring semester to determine if you're eligible for Hope while you're in school. So take advantage of that. Zell Miller, you have to maintain a 3.3 in college to keep it, but it takes a 3.7 and the corresponding test scores that you see to be eligible for Zell Miller. A little bit tougher scale, but it covers 100% of your tuition. Now, university scholarships, we have what's called an umbrella scholarship. So you fill out one application that considers you for every single scholarship in the pool. Now, the scholarships that are need-based, merit-based, major-based, culturally based. So you want to make sure and fill it out, be very intentional about it. Like I said, I'm Afro-Latino. I also majored in communication. So there's a ton of scholarships for students that, wanted to go into school communication and media and that are, African-American. But the stuff based on GPA, where you're from, all that cool stuff. So obvious, but the thing about being an umbrella scholarship, they plug you into everything and see if you're eligible and then pull you out. So I shared who I am. I'm definitely not going to get the scholarship for mechanical engineering students who are Polish. That's not me. But I was considered for it, because I filled it out and I went into the system. So keep an eye on that. Those close on March 1st. You have to be accepted into KSU to be considered for scholarships. Now, if you don't make the March 1st deadline, our scholarship universe, our scholarship portal is still going to help you find scholarships and help you fill those out as time goes on prior to the start of the semester. So be proactive about that. All right, so this is the cost of attendance. I know this number can feel like a lot, and it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. $27,000 is a lot to me, but that's not how much you're gonna pay in a single year. And I never paid that in a single year while I was in school. And we'll kind of run through the numbers, and I'll show you how it's manageable. The numbers that you have to consider are tuition and fees, the ones that are in the boxes. Fees, keep the lights on, keep me in a job, keep things nice around campus. Allows you to go to the rec center, allows you to do a lot of cool different things on campus events. That's what that goes to. So there's fees at any institution. Now, fees stay the same between 5 and 18 hours. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck. As far as taking more credit hours, you don't have to pay more fees. So that's a little bit of little interesting for you. Excuse me. Now, tuition. Historically, we got some pretty low tuition rates, cost per credit hour. 12 hours is 4 classes. If it's three hours of class, you don't spend a whole 3 hours in class unless you sign up for that. Most classes are an hour and a half, but that's just the way we count credits. So most students take between 12 and 15, so 4 to 5 classes, max is 18 with approval. And that's the cost of what you're looking at for the entire year. So keep in mind, this is for an entire year. So you keep those 2 blocks together, and then we start adding things in. Books and supplies. I didn't spend $1,500 in books and supplies my entire 4 years. I bought a couple books from the bookstore because I had to. Some of my professors wrote the books and they sold them in the bookstore here at KSU. And I love the bookstore, but sometimes things got a little pricey depending on what book it was and what material it was. So this is not a plug for Amazon, but I did rent on Amazon. I bought books from friends. If they took the class ahead of time and the professor approved the book, I would go ahead and buy it from them and I'd be good to go. So you got to be a little savvy in terms of, who you're connected with. So that way, you're not spending a bunch of money on books. Now, if you're a STEM major and you're paying for softwares and, parts, things like that, things will get a little bit more expensive, but your books should be reasonable. And if you get ebooks, they're even cheaper. So, and ebooks are great because they got the Control F function. So if you're looking for a specific word, specific paragraph, it makes it a little easier than flipping through a bunch of books, flipping through a bunch of pages. So that's a little tidbit about that. It makes life a little easier. Loan fees are associated with your student loans. If you're taking out loans, that's the fee that's attached to it. Personal expenses, that's totally up to you. I was always B.O.B., bougie on a budget. So spend wisely. If you get a refund check, don't go crazy with the refund check. Put the refund check away and spend it on the next semester. And that's really important. Try to imagine as if that money doesn't exist unless you're living on it. That's okay. But if you are using it and you have scholarship money that gets kicked back to you in a refund check, use it wisely so that way you don't walk out with a bunch of debt. Board. So that's like your food. If you look on our website, it's pretty accurate what you spend for a year of eating. And that's also eating out. That's eating on campus. I spend that much in food for sure, as an adult. So as you guys, continue in adulthood, you're definitely going to realize food gets expensive, and that's pretty accurate what you're going to spend in a year. Room is also is not expensive, but a little expensive. Is also accurate. If you go onto the housing website, you can see how much it costs for 2 semesters, a 10-month contract, or a 12-month contract. If you don't want to live all, the entire year, so excluding the summer months, you can do the 10-month. If you want to live the full 12 months and work on campus during the summer or work at a job in the area, or you just want to stay up there and continue going to school for the entire year, you can do the 12-month contract. So check out housing. Like I said, it does close and it does fill up. So be proactive about that. But if not, there's a lot of options around Kennesaw that you can do for housing that's a little bit cheaper. But if you're on par and you want to stay on campus, that's what you're looking at. Transportation, totally up to you. That's not our transportation fee. We don't charge you that. Your bus fee for the Big Owl bus and the and your parking passes associated in your student fees in that black box up there. So transportation, we put this together to say, hey, you probably have a car and your car's gonna need tires. It's gonna need tire rotation. It's gonna need oil changes. It's gonna need gas, maintenance. Taking care of the things that you have. If you don't have a car, this is what it might cost you Ubering or giving your friends gas money or all these different things. So this is just a transportation idea for what you'd be spending. So if you're reasonable, that number doesn't even get close to 27. But if you have questions, you can always let me know. Okay, so after you're accepted into the institution, big party, super exciting. You'll set up your net ID and your email. That's going to be your student portals. That's how you communicate with your professors and students through your email. And then your net ID is how you register for classes. It's how you sign up for orientation. All of everything that you're going to do as a KSU student flows through those portals and those passwords. So make sure you set that up. You'll verify your lawful presence. That's just verifying you are who you say you are. And that's a form that you can do. It also helps with tuition classification. So please get that done on your application. Submit your immunizations if you got them to our registrar's office. And you can do that online if you already applied, so that way you don't have to come all the way up to campus to send them. And then you'll sign up for orientation. Again, talking about orientation. We're talking about, what was I going to say? With orientation, all orientations are all orientations are not the same, especially when we're talking about if on the beginning of the summer has the most availability. When I say availability, I mean times. You're going to get the classes that you need, but you want to have the classes that you want and the time slots that you want. So early orientation, if you don't want class before 12 and you want to be done with class, before 5, you can probably do that in the first orientation. The back end of the summer, later orientations, if you want to do class, say, if you want that same kind of schedule, probably not going to happen. You're going to have a lot of early classes, 8 a.m.s, 9 a.m.s, maybe a Saturday class if you're really on the back end of registration. So if you're in and you're sold on KSU, go ahead and sign up for orientation. All right, so housing. Housing, like I said, is great. I want you guys to do some searching and really explore it on the website, because this what I'm gonna say really can't do it justice. You really got to take a look and see it. But we have housing on both campuses, and you can always take a screen grab of this if you need to get in contact with them if you're already in the process of getting housing. This is our virtual tour. You can check this out. Pretty interactive, one of the best in the country, in my opinion. So that way you can enjoy that and check out the various buildings, the ones that you want to study in, the ones that you want to study in specifically. So that way you can understand what it's like to be a student in those buildings. This is us on social media. I'm most active on the KSU admissions page, doing Instagram takeovers, answering questions, things of that nature. But we're on most platforms, and we also have some great content on YouTube if you want to check that out, specifically for the academic colleges. I got to interview a couple of the deans and professors in various programs, so that it was a good time there. These are department contacts. Again, if anybody wants to grab a screen grab of these, you can. These are just important offices that you might need, not even might, will need after you've been accepted into the institution. 9 times out of 10, if a student calls for the admissions office, they're probably looking for one of these offices. They just clicked admissions because it was most comfortable. So if you need this, I'm just drawing it out so you can grab a screen grab, and I can always come back. Just let me know. And then this is our contact with the Office of Undergrad Admissions. You guys have my contact. You can reach out to me. I'm on the website. My email is accurate. All emails come straight to me. If you call my number, I'm going to get that voicemail, and I'm here to help you guys in any way that I can. So that's the end of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to y'all for any questions. I don't know if we're wanting to have for students to be able to unmute themselves, or if you want them to put the questions in the chat. I'll let y'all decide that, but I'm willing to take on any questions that you got.
They're normally pretty polite, so they don't tend to talk over each other. I mean, we have a few that I know will prefer to type over speaking themselves, but I'm absolutely okay with them kind of speaking for themselves if they want to. I actually kind of prefer it. But so Chanel, do you want to ask your question, or do you want me to ask it for you, since you were the first person in the chat other than Indy? I'll take that as I'll read it. Cool. So a student just asked, how's the business major, specifically business administration or management information systems?
Oh, wow. Great question.
And also computer science major. So they asked kind of all of that.
Okay, I got you. So within business management, anything BA, well, sorry about that. Anything BM, business management, is going to be it's going to be broad. It's going to touch on a lot of different areas. So you'll touch in economics, you'll touch in entrepreneurship. It's the broadest major. That's for people who want to go into, manage either, investment firms, securities firms, if they even just want to manage the business office for a specific corporation. And we have a lot of great corporate sponsorships. And a lot of the professors that you're going to be learning from are either have their own business or they're still working. A lot of them are adjunct. So the things that they're showing you are current trends that are going on in the actual business world. So you're not just, working on projects that are fabricated. Obviously, they're fabricated in terms of you're not going to be releasing numbers and people aren't going off of them, but things that you're going to be working on are actual examples from the real business world. So, and information systems is a really good couple with business management. It's one that they battle between the computer and software engineering major and where it's housed over in business, but it's most applicable in business. You know, if you're going to go into business, which I plan to myself, you know, I'm planning on doing my MBA soon. You have to be very comfortable in Excel and different various sales platforms. And it's just a lot of numbers, especially if you're going to accounting. So information systems can only aid you in understanding, because you know everybody gets the shiny business product on the front end, but doesn't necessarily understand all the work and the information guide that goes on the back end. So KSU does a really good job of getting you prepared for that. So like I said, we're a well-respected undergraduate business school. Even our MBA is pretty well respected within the Southeast. So you're going to do well as long as you apply yourself.
Okay, so another student asked, how many students, or what's the acceptance rate for the WellStar nursing program, and how can they make themselves a stronger candidate for acceptance?
Right. So I don't have the acceptance rate for the nursing program at the moment. I'd have to pull that data. So the way I say this is, it's very high because it's a competitive program. So in terms of acceptance rate, you're accepting people based on, you know, a specific criteria, and most students have on average between a 3.5 to a 4.0 in their undergraduate prereqs. It's not your high school courses. You spend about 2 years in school before you go into the nursing program. So in those 2 years, most students get that 3.5 to that 4.0, and they're scoring pretty high. You know, I want to say mid 80s to high 90s on their TEAS exam to be admitted. Obviously, your personal statements and recommendations go into the calculation, but they're mainly focused on your aptitude to get the work done, because it's just one of those fields where you have to weed out the people that say, "Oh, I want to go to nursing," but aren't really, you know, serious about it, and it's going to happen. But it's also a very supportive program. I remember you asked about the NCLEX pass rate. Unfortunately, I can't say it anymore, but it was 100% for, I want to say, for a couple semesters. And that's incredible, you know, to have nurses prepared to go straight into the workforce after they finish up nursing school is a big deal. So, and that's the last step before you graduate and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm done with nursing school. And you still have to take this test. Some nurses don't take that test for 6 months because it's kicking their butt. But for our students, most of them, you know, they sign up for it right after graduation and they go straight to work. So, and all those students for sure have an offer from a hospital before they even graduate. You know, I want to say by the end of their first year in the program, hospitals making a job offer to them.
Okay, I have there's a couple of more questions coming in. I'm gonna say these questions in a second, but I also wanted to. We have I reached out to a couple of our former students that were in our program, and somebody creeping in my office right now, and two of them just logged on, and so I just wanted to introduce them because they might be able to also answer some questions, you know, from a student's perspective. Even though you called yourself old, I know you only like 2 days from the student perspective yourself.
Yeah.
Boy, this man called himself old.
Oh,
He
2
started
years.
college in 2014. I said, man, I ain't got time for you. But a couple of our former students, LaKayla Shade and Alexis Roberson, one is a sophomore, one is a freshman. At the institution right now. Alexis is actually a political science major, and LaKayla is an elementary education major.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of announce that they were here. And so even though we are listening to Mr. Greer's presentation, if you guys have things that you want to add in some of the answers from a student perspective, you know, I definitely don't mind you guys speaking. And so questions like the ones that are coming up, Chanel saying, how big are the dorms? And Keith asking, how many dorm roommates, you know, do you typically have, you know, are questions that y'all can definitely chime in on if y'all, you know, to speak to y'all kind of living experience, since I know y'all are on campus right now.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. To answer the question about the dorms, it's different for freshmen. It's like 3 different types of dorms. You have University Village, which is it's actually not traditional. You get your own room, but you get a twin bed and you share a bathroom. And then you have UV. You get your own room and bathroom, and then you share like kitchen and living room area, and your bed is a full-size bed. I live in Austin Residence Complex, which is for honor students, athletes, and upperclassmen. This is like the full-size bed, and then I have my own bathroom, and I share a living room and a kitchen.
Cool. That's nice.
Can you hear your room? Like, can you hear the people next to you? Like, the next room people?
Are you talking about like the people in my unit or like my actual neighbors?
Like your unit.
Yes, the walls are kind of thin. You can hear them, but me and my roommates, we have an understanding. Like, I don't know, you do a roommate agreement in the beginning of the school year where you just go over like what you don't like and do like and what's acceptable. And my roommates are pretty cool. They invite people over. You know, we just let each other know ahead of time.
That roommate agreement is very serious, to say the least. When I was staying, and most of the time I stayed with athletes until my senior year, and we were pretty cool with each other. Things were pretty easy in terms of, you know, the hours that we were going to be awake and asleep because we had to be at the same place at the same time for the most part. But that's a good time to list out your boundaries, because I'm a big proponent of sleep. And if you're not getting any sleep, you're not going to be functioning well. It affects your mental health. It affects your physical health. There definitely needs to be some guidelines set. And, you know, sometimes you gotta rat some people out for your well-being and for your health, and hold people accountable to the rules that you set, you know, at the beginning of the semester, because it's involving you and your academic performance. And your dorm should be home. You know, you should feel like home. You should enjoy coming home to your roommates. You should enjoy being able to go to sleep in peace. So
None of you should be
totally
living
agree
in a space for an entire year, especially with, you know, as Mr. Greer said earlier, with the money that you're going to be paying to stay there, right? You need to be comfortable in your space. And so that is something that he's absolutely correct about. Mr. Greer, somebody is asking again, what, you know, I hope y'all ain't trying to be fresh. Somebody asking again, what your ethnicity was again, sir? They just, I don't know why that's a pertinent question, but somebody wanted to know.
Right. So I'm African American, but a little bit more Caribbean. My grandma on my father's side, my family's from St. Kitts, but my mom is Panamanian. So she wasn't born in Panama, but my grandmother was born in Panama, born and raised. She shorted me and did not teach me Spanish when I was young. So now I have to learn it now. But I'm picking it up pretty quickly. So yeah, Afro Latino is the best way I put it.
Okay, another question that came in: is there an audition process for the theater program?
There is. So if you are a theater major, you will first apply to the school, apply to Kennesaw, and we'll issue you your admissions decision. But part of your decision is wrapped up in your audition. So some arts majors don't require an audition, but if you are going into vocal performance, dance, theater, there is going to be a audition piece to your admissions process. So I would visit the arts website. It goes into pretty good detail of what that looks like. And you can always send an email to the arts representatives and say, hey, you know, I'm really interested in this, but what is what have people done in their past auditions, and, you know, how do I best prepare myself?
And it's the same way for nursing as well, right? The student asks, do they need to apply to Kennesaw State before submitting a nursing application?
Correct. And nursing it's a little bit longer of time frame, because you're going to be you'll be admitted into the school unless you are doing dual enrollment and you're going to graduate with your associates. Traditionally, you're going to spend about 1.5 to 2 years in school before you submit your nursing application, because it's a timeline, so you'll be in the middle middle of your second year, you'll begin prepping for the TEAS exam. You have your GPA kind of set already. You're finishing up that last semester. Once you finish up your TEAS, you wait for your scores, and then boom, you send your application, or you continue to test until you're ready. So luckily, our nursing school lets in students in the spring and the fall. So you have 2 shots to get in. If you say didn't get the score that you wanted prior to a application deadline, the next semester you'll be able to submit that application and you get a little bit more time to prepare.
Can you speak a little bit about working on campus? I know that maybe you weren't working in this position or in this office when you were still a student, but someone wants to know how do you go about working on campus, and so maybe even work study, which I don't think we've had a lot of conversations about work study, so I don't even know if they know what that is. But I'll let you speak to some of that.
Right, and I'll go from the technical side, and if any of my students are, if any of y'all are currently in a student job, you can share your perspective on that. I definitely welcome it. But so there's kind of two types of student jobs. So there are work study positions, and there are student assistantships. So work study, I started out as a work study student. That's through financial aid. So the school is not paying you, essentially. The government is paying you because you're eligible for financial aid. For aid assistance, you fill out your work study application. If you're approved, you submit it into the KSU system, and then from there you can start looking for jobs to apply to. I got a little lucky. I don't know how it happened. I finished my work study application, and then I got a call the next day from admissions about a job, and I didn't even apply for the job. So I don't even know how that happened, the glitch in the system. I promise you, I can show you my email from back then. I didn't apply for that job at all. But once they interviewed me, I went through the process. I got hired. It was through admission, so really, really like that. I'm still here. And your money pays, so you can either there's kind of 2 forms of agreements. You can either do a lump sum that pays to your tuition and fees, or you can have it pay like a check. So like every 2 weeks you get paid, you'll get paid from that set amount of work study dollars that was awarded to you. And once your work study hours are done, once your work study amount is done, you're done working for that semester. Now, unless you agreed for that lump sum to go towards the entire semester, and then you just keep working there. So work study was really good to me personally. I really enjoyed it. If you are a student assistant, they do the exact same job as work study students, but they are considered university employees. I think they just recently got rid of the retirement option for student assistants. When I was done with being a student assistant, so I transitioned. So they hired me back as a student assistant. During my football season, I didn't work. So when I came back, they hired me back as a student assistant. So I didn't have to worry about a work study application. They were paying me out of their budget, which was great. I got paid pretty well across the board. I believe it's $10 an hour for student assistants these days. And you don't work any more than 19 hours per week. You're not supposed to, and you shouldn't, because your studies come first. But there's opportunities to work more on holiday breaks. So spring break or winter break. If you need some extra cash, you can. You can work those extra days, and really they're a lot of fun. Depending on what job you get, what department you work for. I was a tour guide, so I got to meet all prospective students and their parents. So they loved seeing student doing well. If it was a predominantly African American family, they love to see that there are African American faces on campus, and they really appreciated that, and doing well and working in various campus departments. So yeah, it's a good time to work if you are in a specific, and it's a pretty chill job. There's some positions where you just sit down, you answer phone calls, you schedule appointments, and then depending on who your supervisor is, they can work out you if you need to look at, say, a document, for a class coming up. Obviously, your work comes first, but they understand that you're a student and they're willing to be flexible for you.
LaKayla, I don't know if they work on campus or not.
I actually worked like for 1 week of my freshman year. I worked in the I worked in the cafeteria, and the only reason why I did that is before I attended the school, my mother thought it would be a great idea. So I applied for the job before I attended school, and you can do that if you're a freshman and you like not here yet, like over the summer or something. You can apply to the job as long as you're accepted to it. So I came during the summer, did my interview, and I was working the first week of school. It personally wasn't right for me, but it might be right for y'all. But
You
I
too
would
cool for that, huh? You couldn't be forever flexing if you were serving people food in the cafeteria. So you ain't right. You ain't living right. You ain't.
place. But I would suggest getting a job on campus if you're a freshman and you don't have transportation, because it's quicker to get to work and to class, like going back and forth, and you don't have to worry about making it on time or something like that. And of course, when you get off, you could just go straight to your dorm or something if you live on campus. So.
Great point.
I also normally, and some of you have heard me say this, I also normally suggest that if you have to work while you're in college, if you don't have to work, I suggest you postpone it. But if you need to work while you're in college, getting jobs on campus is always better, because as Mr. Greer just said, people will respect the fact that you are a student first. If you're working in Macy's or you working at JR Crickets or whatever, they're going to put you on that schedule. They're going to expect you to be at work. And that's just kind of what it is, right? And so, when you working 35 hours a week, because they ain't going to want you to be full time, they're not going to be concerned about the test that you got coming up or the assignments or any of your projects, right? So working on campus, you usually will be working at least with other people, adults that know, like, okay, this person has class and they have assignments that go with class. So if you can get a job on campus, it's always better than working off campus, especially when you first get to college. Kenzie, did you raise your hand on purpose? I see that your hand is up. I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
Yes, I actually did. This is not really, I probably won't get like a direct like answer for this question, because I don't know if you know, but do you happen to know like what major I would need to become like a dermatologist and like the acceptance rate to a point?
Okay. So in going to dermatology, so dermatology school is totally separate. And it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be one that is like surgeries and different things like that, you're gonna have to get your MD. And that would be biology pre-med. That type of designation, then you prepare to go to med school like most people. But what I would recommend, if you know any dermatologists that are, and again, I'm not super familiar with the field of dermatology. I just know that if my dermatologist is an MD, and she went to school, she performed, a procedure on my head, and I trust her because she went to medical school. But if there's other forms of being in that field that you're looking to go into, I would say narrow it down and see if you actually need to go to med school to perform what you're looking to do.
Because I tried to do like some research on it, and like it never tells me a specific type of major. It just says it's just a lot. So I was like, I just wanted to know if you would probably like.
Let me tell you, Kenzie, and I think the advice that Mr. Greer just gave was excellent advice. But one of the reasons that it probably doesn't give you a specific major is because, unlike in high school, and this is the way kind of we think about things, in college, things build on themselves, but there isn't necessarily a cookie cutter pathway all of the time.
Right.
So even if you want to be a doctor, right, biology pre-med is a good major. A lot of people go to school and major biology pre-med if they want to be doctors, but you don't have to major in that, right? Same thing for law. Like some people will go to college and say, well, I'm majoring in political science because I want to be a lawyer. But someone else might say, well, I'm going to major in history and then I'm still going to apply to law school, right? And so, even though it makes sense, right? If you're trying to go into medicine, having a biology or an anatomy major might make a lot of sense because it's going to make some of your later stuff easier because you have a stronger foundation. But there are absolutely people that go to medical school that didn't necessarily major in biology pre-med. They majored in some other thing, right? There's people that major in math and then still go to medical school, right? And so So a lot of times, like Mr. Greer said, if you have a doctor or a dermatologist that you're in contact with, they might be able to kind of answer that question even better than officials that work at a college, because the officials that work at the college, they kind of know that you can apply to medical school with any degree, really. Like you don't necessarily need a specific degree of a specific major in order to apply for med school.
Okay. Yeah, I just decided to ask since he was on the phone, and I've been trying to do like research
great
on
question,
like
though.
That's a great question.
things for a while. It's like every time I try to like research it, it never like gave me like what I wanted. So yeah, I was like, let me just ask if like there's people that just major for like that there.
Yep.
I would like to add that for anybody who's like coming to Kennesaw, if you're looking up your degree or like your major, I would suggest looking up Kennesaw State Degree Works, because that's like the platform that has all our programs and like the classes needed for those programs.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
All right, so the chat has slowed down. So if y'all don't have anything else for Mr. Greer, we're not gonna hold this time up, you know. So if y'all have any other questions right now, it'd be a really good time to type fast or speak out loud. If not, we're gonna let Mr. Greer. Somebody was trying to type dual enrollment. And so for some of that dual enrollment stuff, like he said, and like I typed in the chat a little while ago, Kennesaw State is absolutely, like he said, a school that we definitely wouldn't have suggested y'all to try to do dual enrollment with before, but during the pandemic, you know, the world is a little more open to you being able to live in Clayton County and do dual enrollment in Kennesaw. And so some of that you're gonna have to deal with your high school counselor on, because there's some paperwork that you're gonna have to do through your high school. And then you'll just be applying for the school, and you'll just designate that you're applying as a high school student for dual enrollment.
Very correct. Yeah, that process is pretty simple. But the first step is you're going to be your high school counselor, because that's the person that's mainly going to improve your ability to be able to be enrolled in dual enrollment. And then everything is really back end in terms of making sure things get paid, making sure that you're eligible, and getting apply. So dual enrollment students actually don't have to submit an application fee, which is pretty nice. So you just do the application and we get a roll. So try to save you as much money as possible.
Right. And like I said, and I know all of you guys are living in Clayton County, so doing dual enrollment at Clayton State or at Atlanta Metropolitan or at Georgia State or Kennesaw State right now. And thank you. He just put the link in the chat for dual enrollment info at Kennesaw State. If you know that Kennesaw State is one of on your list of schools that you really, really want to attend, then it might be a good idea for you to go ahead and do dual enrollment while it's all virtual and stuff. Do your dual enrollment at Kennesaw State as opposed to doing it at Clayton State, right? It might be a good time to kind of start there if you know that Kennesaw State is going to be a school that you're really serious about attending in the future. And like I said, that's not something that we've been able to say for the last several years, because who could drive to Kennesaw State from Clayton County? But right now, that might be a benefit of the pandemic. So I just want to put that out there. But obviously, if y'all have more questions about that kind of stuff, myself, Ms. Ward, Ms. Carr, we can have those conversations with you. Not totally virtual as in the school, but right now you probably can get a whole virtual schedule for your dual enrollment classes. Because right now a lot of colleges are offering many classes virtually. So and you guys, if you're doing dual enrollment, Indy, Chanel, if you're doing dual enrollment, it's gonna be really general and lower level classes because y'all are so young. So it's gonna be, the first couple of English classes that you kind of have to take, your first couple of math classes, college algebra, and that kind of stuff. And so those kinds of classes, yes, you'll probably be able to find enough offerings of online classes that you'll be able to take them from your house. Let me know if I'm tripping on that, Mr. Greer. I feel like that's accurate.
No, that's accurate. That's very accurate.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. So if no further questions, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Greer. I don't think we have any other questions. Alexis and LaKayla, I don't want y'all to log off yet, but I want to make sure we're respecting Mr. Greer's time. So it's still quiet. Nobody. Yeah, I got a couple of people saying thank you in the chat. Like I said, most of the time they got manners. I was gonna feel bad if they ain't say thank you. I was gonna start sending some private texts like, what y'all doing?
Right.
But yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today and giving us all of this wonderful information about Kennesaw State. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah. So, Ms. Ward, you want to say anything? Ms. Carr, I don't know. You know, you're on mute, Ward. You're on mute. Hey.
Just thank you for your time. I really appreciate you spending time and talking to our students about Kennesaw State. We've learned a lot, and thank you. You did an excellent job.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, I want to say thank you again. Hi, I'm Ms. Carr. Lots of information. Thank you. Many of our students are interested in Kennesaw State, and you gave great information today. So thank you, and hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.
Yes. All right, so thank you, sir. It's been, it's definitely been helpful for us, so we appreciate you.
For sure, it's been a pleasure, y'all. Thank you. If anybody needs me, my email's in the chat. I'm most responsive by email. So yeah, hooty hoo. If you need me, just give me a shout, okay?
All right, good stuff.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think Alexis is still here, even though I don't see her name anymore. Maybe she's on this second page. Aaliyah is on. Hey, Aaliyah.
Hi.
Alexis, Aaliyah, cut y'all cameras on, man. People miss y'all faces too.
Right.
Stop playing. Look, Kayla, it's so good to see you, love.
Hi.
So many of you, some of you, not many of you, because a lot of y'all are newer students. So y'all not even gonna really know Alexis and Aaliyah, even though they just graduated from our program last year. But there's so many new students on. Some of y'all probably know Alexis and Aaliyah, some of y'all do not. Aaliyah, what's your major? Alexis told me political science. What are you, Aaliyah?
My major is biology.
Okay, biology. Okay. So some of y'all know Alexis and Aaliyah. You don't necessarily know LaKayla over there, because LaKayla is one of our students that was with us when we was on that good Fulton County side. But I will say this about LaKayla, because I know some of you are interested in this. LaKayla, even though she is, actually, I think she's even younger than Alexis and Aaliyah, but she graduated high school a year early because she's impatient. And so even though she's 18, you 18 now?
Yes.
Even though she's 18, she's actually a sophomore at Kennesaw State, right?
Yes.
Right. So in sophomore year at Kennesaw State. And so I know we have a couple of you on the call that have been talking about and inquiring about graduating early and that kind of stuff. And so if you have any of those kind of questions, what it was like to be a 17-year-old freshman, almost a 16-year-old freshman in college, because you just turned 17 when you went, right? You turned 17 in July and then started college on campus during a pandemic at 17 in August. So if any of y'all have those kinds of questions, like what it was like to be a 17-year-old on a college campus, she is somebody that can answer those kinds of questions. But if you have any other questions just about being at Kennesaw, even in a pandemic, or the drive from Kennesaw, what it's like to live in Kennesaw and still work in Clayton County, because I know at least one of the twins is doing that. Like, which one of y'all work in Clayton County, but you live in
Actually both of us.
Oh, both of y'all work in Clayton County. Right. And so having jobs in Clayton County and still being at school in Kennesaw, the man is gone. It's just family now. So y'all can actually talk. Y'all ain't got to be scary.
I had a question.
Kaylin said 8 twins on the chat. But y'all, I need a couple of y'all to cut y'all cameras on too, because I'm tired of looking at y'all initials. While the man was talking, it was all good. But where y'all at though?
I got a question.
Let's go. I like questions. Let's go.
So,
you can put your hand down though, because it's like I'm just telling you, you can. You can leave it up if you want to, but
Okay, so it was actually to LaKayla. I think that's how you say your name.
Yes.
And how she graduated early. So you're a sophomore now?
Yes.
Did you do like dual enrollment before you graduated, or?
No, but I could have. I know when I was in middle school, in Fulton County, it was a school. We had a gateway program. Did 8th grade first semester and 9th grade second semester. That way, when I got into high school, I was taking 10th grade classes. But if you don't have that option, you can always take like certain classes like over the summer. I think some schools, like high schools, have a limit of 2 that they'll pay for. But if you take classes over the summer, then your schedule will be higher. And if you not like a year ahead, you'll still, like your senior year, you'll still have like less classes.
Yeah,
So,
because I know earlier this year I was planning on graduating my right class like next year, but I also got a message from my counselor saying that like if I was to like graduate next year, I wouldn't be able to graduate my associates because of dual enrollment and stuff like that. So that's why I was asking. I didn't even think about the summer classes till you said that.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of students, you know, with this pandemic, that's actually been popping up a lot more. So myself, Ms. Carr, Ms. Ward, we've been hearing a lot more because a lot of counselors now seem to be encouraging people to graduate a little bit early.
Yeah,
If
I
they
spoke to
want
Mike
to.
about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a thing. Some people do it. LaKayla will know I'm being truthful here when I say it. I normally suggest,
yeah.
I discourage people from doing it. That's just me. I told
Yeah.
LaKayla not to do it, but it's working out for her. So, you know,
My senior,
never flexing. But
Yeah, the only reason I'm questioning it now is because I've been doing enrollment since like my 9th grade year, but she was like, if I was to graduate next year, I probably would not be able to graduate my associate's degree. But now that she brought the summer classes, kind of made me just think a bit about it. But yeah.
we can definitely have more of those conversations too. We can always talk about that kind of stuff. Because ultimately what you want to do is just make the best decision for you, right? And so if you feel like finishing that associate's degree is going to be something that's more beneficial, then you know, go ahead and think it out. The beautiful thing about you guys being in high school, there is no rush for you all to make these kinds of decisions. I mean, right now you're, you know, technically a sophomore, right? And so it's cool that you're thinking about it, but you're technically a sophomore, graduating a year early as a junior. You got some time to kind of make sure you're doing the right thing. So take the time, have the conversations. Don't rush that kind of decision. But you know, bye, Kaylin. It was, but yeah. So that would be my suggestion to you. Just take your time, really, you know, think through it and make the best decision for you. LaKayla, did you miss all the? I know the answer to this because I follow her on Instagram. LaKayla, did you miss all the parties because you were 17 and you was on campus?
I went to some parties. It was the lounges I couldn't go to.
I know you was at all the parties. I know.
I don't know about freshman year, you know, you get to a new environment and you just want to explore. But I would like to say that homecoming was so bad for me because homecoming, everyone likes to go to clubs and lounges, and LaKayla cannot get in. And a small story time, it was Halloween night. All my friends went to this lounge, and I had other 17-year-old friends, but they were all turning 18. And one of them was like, "Oh, I got in. You know, you can get in if you just like use somebody else's ID. They not gonna really look." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go since all my friends want me to go." And I went. I have on this cute little outfit. It's Halloween. I'm freezing cold. It's raining. And I'm in a line. I give the girl my ID and she says, "You're good." But my friends were in the building. And since I got through, they all like, "Yay." So I'm smiling back. And this big security guard was like, "Can I see your ID again?" The ID was not me. So he was
Oh, you almost had it.
so, and I didn't drive there. So I had to sit outside in the rain, in the cold, and wait for an Uber back home while all my friends was partying.
So those are the kinds of things you don't think about when you graduate high school early and go to college and you're the only person that can't get in the club. Just putting that out there.
Well, technically for me, I'll be like 18.
Okay.
So I still be good.
It's
because I'm
ways
17
around.
right now.
I'm not going to say those ways, but it's ways
No, we're not even going there. So Aaliyah, Alexis, what's your favorite thing about Kennesaw State right now? I know y'all have not, you know, y'all been there. It's a quarantine. You kind of been on, you know, at least LaKayla had some real Kennesaw State experience before the world shut down. Y'all been there for this first semester. What is your favorite thing about your college right now?
Well, for me, I mean, I like doing online, but like as far as the campus go, I say like the food areas and like they got this, what is it called? Green something. It's like a whole space in front of the student center.
It's a
Like
green
they
space.
have everything out there. Like you can do soccer. It's all types of stuff they be having going on out in that area. But yeah, for me, it's the food areas and just that part where you go like and chill and you actually just be out there studying it. It's like various places you can go to study and do your work without being distracted. And then, you know, you got a lot of free time, so they always have something you could do.
Mhm. How about you, Aaliyah? What you got?
For me, I would say it would be the student center, and it would be like the places where they held all the events that was happening for freshman year. So yeah.
This is the last question I'm gonna ask because I know I just kind of sprung this on all three of y'all, and I know we got some people on here that do think like this and do want to know. So, and it don't have to be long. What is has the work been more difficult or less difficult than high school? Like, so your college experience compared to your high school experience, what is it? And I'm asking this specifically because I know there are a couple of people that are on this call that are like, you know, I just really don't be feeling school. I don't know if I want to go to college anymore just because I'm so tired of school. So can y'all just speak a little bit to like the difference between what high school and college has been for you? Any one of y'all. I know it's three of y'all. Any one of y'all can.
Okay. Well, I would start by saying that appreciate your teachers in high school because they actually teach you and they're there to help you. And it's a small classroom, so they can help each one of their students. In college, you will have a few teachers that are like that will actually teach you and not just put a PowerPoint up there and tell you to do the work, because majority of the professors will do that. You teach yourself most of the time. You do have office hours, but most likely you are on your own. They're just there to give you the work. Some teachers are good teachers, but you will have to carry a lot of the weight. It's not like the teachers in high school, they babysit you. They help you through every little thing, every little problem you have. So you have to grow this independence when you get to college. But I would say the workload, the actual workload, you are prepared for. Every time you level up, like go to a different grade, you are being prepared for that grade. That's like saying you going from eighth grade to ninth grade. You are prepared because you just using what you used before and to learn. But you just have to grow independence and discipline, because discipline is very necessary when it comes to doing your work and studying. In high school, you probably can get away with not doing a few homework assignments, but if you do the work in college, you will succeed, because people get to college and don't want to do anything and want to cheat through the whole year. That's what they trying to cheat through all their classes. But if you just sit there and learn the material, you will get through it.
Alexa, Lee, y'all want to add anything?
I would like to add. I actually agree with what LaKayla said. About the cheating part, because like I'm in the group chats with everybody in my classes, and like this semester they're like not trying to cheat, but first semester it was some students in my math class that was like trying to ask for answers, and I'm just like, all you gotta do is learn the material. But another thing I would say is that time management is like really key when you're doing your classes, because if you wait till the last minute to do something, then you'll forget how the teacher taught you, and you would just end up like second guessing when you could have used your time wisely just reviewing your notes or going over the lectures. Or you could also use the Smart Center at KSU. They also help you. And it was another thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of those are good. Those, I mean, that's big stuff. Like, I think they're absolutely telling you guys the truth. there is a lot less hand holding in college, right? So in high school, teachers are kind of usually much more invested in student success. So there is going to be some hand holding. They are going to kind of walk you to some answers and kind of make sure you're getting it. In college, you are an adult. For some of you, that is really bad. For some of you, you need somebody to really hold your hand and take you to the answers. For others of you that are a little more self-sufficient, that isn't necessarily what you need. So for some people, college is a lot better because they don't have somebody constantly asking them and being on their back about stuff. Some of y'all, if somebody give you the instruction, you're gonna go handle your business. And then once you handle your business, you ain't got to worry about it no more. Some people need a teacher saying, did you do your homework? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? So it really is like that. It's about kind of who you are as a person. So if you can manage your time, as Aaliyah was saying, if you have time management skills, and you kind of know how to handle yourself, some of y'all, the transition to college won't be very difficult at all, and you're, all of y'all doing online school now, but the time frame for college is also a lot different. So when you're in college and you set up your schedule, and your schedule literally you might be in school Monday through Thursday, but you're only in school from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Like that's your whole schedule. All the rest of your week, you're kind of on your own. Or if you like morning classes, literally there were semesters I had in college where I went to school Mondays and Wednesdays from like 9 in the morning until like 3. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was off. So you can kind of set your schedule up in that way where I got these days where I'm doing class. The rest of my schedule is pretty open. So I'm working or I'm doing my work. So those kinds of things also make it a little bit easier for some people. Some of y'all, I think you get so used to what you have to do in high school. And so when y'all say, I'm tired of school, I hate school, I don't want to do this anymore, you're not necessarily just talking about school. You're talking about the way school is done in high school. Some of y'all are really talking about, I don't want to be in class from 8 to 3, Monday through Friday. I feel like I'm not learning. I feel like I'm bored. I feel like blah, blah, blah. And college ain't like that. Because like Mr. Greer said, you're going to be in class 3 hours a week for one class. Like your class is going to be an hour and a half on Monday, an hour and a half on Wednesday, and that's it. So you're not going to feel like, man, I've been here 5 days in a row for 3 hours and I'm tired of that. So some of that stuff is just different and it comes out different. So if y'all don't have any other questions for our former students, we're going to let them go and let y'all go, because I don't need y'all here for me to just love up on them. I can just talk to Alexis and Aaliyah and LaKayla. I don't really, y'all ain't got to sit around for that. Hey, Aaliyah.
I had a question for everybody.
Oh, go ahead. What's the
Hi,
question?
Mr. King.
What's up, Keith? What's the question?
How did y'all choose y'all's majors?
You see, for me, that's why I had to just ask the people because
No, you ain't even supposed to be answering the question. He's talking to
yeah, I just realized that.
You see,
Let me be slow in peace.
That's cool. We like you, Kenzie. So Alexis, Aaliyah, LaKayla, what was it that made y'all go with the majors y'all went with?
Well, for me, since I chose law because like really, when I really think about it, I like helping people and like, being there for other people. So I feel like law will be the best one for me. I mean, all the other majors, they were like good, but I actually look more in detail into that type of major, like in particular, because I was like debating if I wanted to do criminal justice for that or political science. So I stuck with political science because I really don't have a reason for that one, but I don't know how to really sum it up except for like I like helping people and being there for other people. So I felt like that was good for me. Yeah.
Let me say this too, Keith, since the other two of them not talking yet. The other thing about it, and we say this all the time, but it is absolutely the truth. A lot of y'all are gonna go to college with ideas of a major. And it's okay, because for a lot of people, they change. as a matter of fact, regardless of whether they are early childhood education or biology or political science, if you're not doing a whole bunch of dual enrollment, your first year and a half, 2 years of college kind of look the same, regardless of what your major is. You know what I mean? Like most of your classes are going to be pretty similar, whether you in early childhood education or whether you in biology or whether you in political science. And the colleges are set up like that on purpose, right? So you're going to take your English classes, some math classes. You're going to decide what science you want to take because you only really got to take one science. So whether that be biology or chemistry or anatomy or whatever, you're going to decide those kinds of things. And then you're going to have a lot of elective options your first couple of years of college. And with those elective options, and this is honestly why so many people end up changing their majors, because when you take some of those elective options, you might take a class or meet a professor that gives you a whole different area of interest that you hadn't really thought about before. It happens to all kinds of people, and it's okay that it happens to all kinds of people. So even somebody like you, Keith, that wants to go to school and kind of knows what you want to major in, one of your electives, your first year or so of college, needs to be in that department that you think you want to major in. Because you might take a class in your major department and then find out, like, you know what, this really ain't what I thought it was going to be. Because that absolutely happens to some people. Ms. Carr, I don't know if you're smiling at me or your sandwich, but I felt like you're smiling because I said. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to call you out, but when you smiled, I was like, she agrees with me. And then I saw you eat the sandwich. I was like, she's smiling at the damn sandwich.
No, I agree with you. I was smiling at you. That's true. People say that they major in one thing, and then they take that first class, and they're like, "Ooh, actually, though, this is what I thought it was going to be." And students will never know unless they actually immerse themselves within a class.
Yeah. And when you go to college, don't feel bad about that. That is the reason colleges make you take electives, because it's better to figure that out your freshman or sophomore year of college,
right,
than your first year in your career. And it happens to people like that too. There are people that go all the way to medical school and then be a doctor for 2 years and be like, this ain't my life. I don't do this. So it's better to kind of figure that out your first couple of years of college by taking some of those elective classes and saying, oh, I never even heard of anthropology. And I took this anthropology class and now, you know, I want to take 2 more. That happens for a lot of people. Anthropology. You said what?
I changed my major this year.
Right.
So I actually thought about being a teacher, like probably in middle school, but one thing I can say is don't let nobody change your mind, because everyone was just telling me, oh, teachers don't get paid this, da da da. And I completely dismissed that thought. Never thought about being a teacher anymore, but I did know I had a passion for like working with children. So that's when I moved into nursing, because I was like, I could be a pediatric nurse or a neonatal nurse. And even in high school, I was taking like electives that had something to do with medical field. I came to high school and it's like the medical stuff was not, it felt required. Like it wasn't nothing I was having fun with, like learning and stuff about it. And at the end of last semester, so like around December, November, I was just like thinking about like, this is not really like what I'm interested in. And at this point, I realized I'd rather be happy doing what I want than like in a job that makes a whole bunch of money and just like dreading going to work. Amen. So I major. And this is my first semester in a major, and it's only the second day of school. And I can say I'm already having fun. Like I went to my math class yesterday and I was so excited. And I really, that's because this is what I want to do. So I'm glad I made the change early, because one thing I can say, I did graduate high school at 16. So even if like most of my classes did transfer, because I did take English, what Mr. Kenneth said, I did take English and all of that. So most of my classes did transfer when I changed my major, because it's only my sophomore year. It was only like 2 classes that I took that I don't need, but I'm glad that I did change it early, because now I'm taking classes that I do need for my major, and I already took classes. So nothing really changed. And because I graduated early, if I do sit here an extra semester, it's not going to change anything, because when I graduated 20, I'm not even legal to drink yet. So it didn't really make that big of a difference.
Right. Yes, and so that is a thing. You want to take some of those classes early on because it is better, like she said, to change your major early on, right? If you're a junior in college, you know, a senior in college, and you change your major, then you do have to start thinking about how much money you wasted taking classes that you didn't need. But when you're a freshman, sophomore, like I said, lots and lots of people, you know, change their major those first couple of years of college because you guys are gonna get exposed to so many things in college those first couple of years that you have no, even as much as we talk to y'all when we go on college tours, all that kind of stuff, there are things that you're going to get exposed to, people that you're going to get exposed to when you go to college that you just don't have access to right now, right? Everybody in y'all high schools is y'all. Everybody from Clayton County, everybody, you know, parents make the same kind of money, work the same kind of jobs. When you go to college, and you know, they can all speak to this being at Kennesaw State, you're going to be in college with people from different parts of the country, from different parts of Georgia, and just being from different parts of Georgia really makes a difference. Like everybody ain't from Fulton County and Clayton County. It's going to be people from all over the place. And so you're going to get introduced to ideas and introduced to people that really are, and all of that is a part of the college experience. Like